Alright, let's take a look at Ford stock. So ticker symbol F, Ford's at 688, and that's after a little bit of a run up due to the release of their, or saying the release of their Ford Bronco. So I am a little shocked that it's a little high, this high, because Ford is struggling really, really, really bad. So they just keep doing terrible. They just keep making bad decisions. They've hired the worst CEO. Not even a car person. It was a furniture CEO. So I think this is why they are struggling. And the Ford family, they're dumbasses. Yeah, I'm calling billionaires dumbasses, but they just keep making mistakes. The Bronco, I think, will ultimately be a mistake, maybe. They're trying to compete against Jeep. Jeep is kind of dominant in their area, but the Ford Bronco, I personally think it looks ugly. And I think a lot of people think it looks ugly. I've heard a few people say it. Some people say they might buy it, but when you compare it to Jeep, they're gonna struggle. So if maybe the next maybe 2 years, maybe they'll redesign it a little, but ultimately, I don't think it's going to be a huge play for them because everyone's got their trucks. Maybe they want an SUV. I don't know. The problem with this is nobody wants to take their $60,000 SUV out and climb rocks and go off, trails. I mean, some do, the rich people, but not anyone who buys it doesn't have the aesthetics. They'll go for the Grand Cherokee or the Wrangler. The Wrangler is pretty dominant. So ultimately, it's nice to see it go up because I am long Ford, and the second it hits $9, I am selling everything, and that will free up probably a couple grand. So Ford is only, in my opinion, a dividend stock. Well, it was a dividend stock. That's why I bought it. That's why everyone bought it in addition to me. They buy it for the dividends. The recession hit, the coronavirus hit, they cut the dividends, and they're really they struggle too much. They're not a growth stock. They're a dividend play. When they don't have the dividends, they're useless. So, and it's kind of the worst time. You don't hold car stocks in recessions. It's it's just too risky. But the second I can get out of it, I will. But it will probably at least 2 years before I can get out of it. Maybe a year when they actually launch the Bronco in 2021, and then they're also launching the Ford Mustang Electric, the what's it, the Mach-E, and yeah, Mach-E, and it's I think they dropped the ball with this one. They shouldn't have named it the Mustang. I know they did it for reasons so they can outsource, I believe, to Mexico, and they didn't have to build it in the U.S., but it's just terrible. You don't do that to the Mustang. That's their heart and soul. People will say it's the F-150, but the Mustang is. It's the American muscle car, and to have an electric car named the Mustang, it's 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 dumbass. They shouldn't have done it. Is it gonna sell? Yes. Do I think it looks really nice? Yes. It's aesthetically pleasing, but the competition is pretty big. Tesla, nobody's gonna say they want an electric Mustang. Everyone's gonna say they want a Tesla. Tesla's the name. Tesla's like Bitcoin. They're they're the first, and well, not really the first, but you know what I mean. Everyone knows the name. And then you've got NIO in China, which is the electric car company, and then there's other car companies launching, and the space is going to get crowded. So I think they should have launched it this year, maybe. But ultimately, Ford is not a very good stock. And I hate to say it because I have thousands of dollars in Ford, but I'm just waiting to sell so I can invest that elsewhere. The problem with Ford is they have their pension obligations. They're keep missing the boat with what they keep doing, and they're in March 31st, 2020, they're at $114 billion in debt. That is insane. I think it's just they're going to hold on uh, unless they come out with something innovative, and it's going to struggle. So ultimately, don't buy Ford. Buy it when it gets the dividend and only keep it for the dividend. It's not a growth stock. It's not Tesla. It's not going to compete against Tesla. Other car companies will do better. They'll be shitty. They'll do better. But Ford, the Ford family needs to come up with a better game plan and make better better plays. It's just they're dropping the ball. So maybe a year out might be $10. I'll sell. I'm not going to hold on to it because I think we're going to be in recession for years, possibly even a depression. But just keep that in mind. Their debt, their pension obligations, nobody's buying a car in a recession. The people that buy Fords, because Fords are, I don't want to say cheaper, but a lot of their cars, the lower the lower end people with part-time jobs can afford, like the Ford Focus. It's just it's not a good play. So don't buy. If you do buy it, do it when they get the dividend back, but it might be a long time before that happens. So do some research, have fun. Video is not financial advice. Any statements made are my views and is for entertainment purposes only and should not be taken as financial advice. Do your own research before making any financial investments.